Welcome back, Troglylites, to another very special edition of Trogly's Guitars. This is one I've known about for a while, but I never thought I would get one of these, mainly because they're just so darn expensive. This is the rare, sought-after 1975 Brazilian Rosewood top Les Paul Custom. That's right, not a maple top. This isn't no maple top stained to look, walnut or rosewood-like in color like an artisan. This is a pure, thick slab of Brazilian rosewood from 1975, which is kind of mind-boggling because it's in the late 60s when Gibson stopped using Brazilian rosewood in general. So I don't know the full backstory on these, but they are very cool guitars. But besides that, it's just your typical custom. So every dollar that you overpay for this guitar compared to a regular custom, which is typically around $5,000 to $7,000 more than your regular run-of-the-mill custom, that's all for this sweet Brazilian rosewood top, and for bragging rights that you own one of 50 to 62 of these Brazilian rosewood top customs. And I've got to say, I love this guitar. It is really cool. I'm really happy to have one of these and to be able to share it with the world here. So, without any further ado, let's take a look. This guitar is in really good shape. You have some light aging to the lacquer. It just looks like a vintage guitar. I kind of like that it's not pristine and white, because then you feel like you can't even take it out of the case. But you've got some light dust and maybe some string change wear and tear in general, but nothing too bad. There is kind of a small ding right here in the binding where it looks like it cracked a little bit. It's not a full crack or anything, it's not coming apart. But besides that, you're in pretty good shape. There is a very small ding under that top tuner up there, if you can see it there. The nut is the stock bone nut, and you kind of have these smaller looking, almost fretless wonder-like frets with the ebony fretboard. It's very cool. I don't get too many early 70s custom, so I'm not as acute to some of their characteristics as compared to the late 70s that I liked especially, because that's when Norland just went crazy and did a lot of cool stuff, I think. You can see the body's in good shape. Light wear and tear from, very moderate playing, but overall it's in good shape. This is one of the last customs that you'll see the witch hat knobs on. I think witch hats look awesome on a Les Paul custom. They give it that early 70s vibe that I really like. Now, I pointed this out in my other video of this guitar, I like this little design right here. It looks like a little mole or an Eskimo type guy. I just think this guitar is really cool. You can see there is some tarnishing to the gold hardware and some scratches, but overall it does maintain a clean appearance. You still have the ABR1 bridge on this before they switched over to the Nashville Tune-o-matic. Original pick guard and all that. Back of the headstock here, serial number 377157, made in USA. And you're going to see this one was signed / engraved by Les Paul himself. By looking at it, it definitely looks authentic. I don't have any papers to back that up, but I don't know anybody who would just engrave Les Paul in their very rare Gibson unless it was by Les Paul himself. This has the awesome Kluson waffle back tuners. They're awesome looking. Functionality, these ones are a little bit lacking. They kind of slip a little bit. They're still usable. They're the original tuners to this guitar, but if you're going to heavily gig this guitar and not just, lightly play at home, I would probably suggest maybe going for some modern replacements for a little better tuning stability. This isn't a repair here, that's actually just a wood grain line. But definitely has a thin 60s profile neck to it. There is some finish wear along the base side of the neck that you're going to see while you're playing it. I'm not sure quite how that happened, but you do have some light wear and tear, because this guitar wasn't played that much, but it's not a touch-up. It blacklights correctly, but the other side is just fine. My only complaint of these Brazilian Rosewoods is the back of the guitar is a little bit too light colored compared to the top. Now, the more and more I handle this guitar, the more and more I like this. I think it's just the initial shock that, I really thought maybe it would have a special staining on the back. But once again, now that I've handled this guitar for a couple of days, I really do appreciate the true beauty of dark and light. It's just a very nice transition, really. They do complement each other. The back of the guitar isn't chewed up or anything like that. You do have some very minor wear and tear, but overall, it's clean. This is an untouched, unmolested, well, unless you count Les Paul's signature there as molestation. But overall, it's a very clean example. You've got a small little ding there, but it's a great guitar. Pancake body construction as they were made, which is basically two pieces of mahogany with a small little maple sandwich in there. I like these pancake bodies. They're very 70s in look, but sometimes you can get some issues with this where they'll delaminate and you'll get a small line of separation. It's very rare that one of them does come apart, but it can happen. I've seen a few examples, but most of the times, even when they do that, they're still stable. So overall, Brazilian Rosewood Custom. Would I suggest you go and buy these? If you're just a strict player, no. If you're a collector, yes. These things are awesome. They're a little bit, overpriced for a player when you can get an early 70s custom for, around $2,500 to $3,000 in clean shape. If you want one of these, you have to have a rare guitar fetish like I do. Brazilian Rosewood top, this is a must-have. You have to have one of these in your collection. We'll take a look under blacklight because it's very important to use a blacklight on such expensive vintage examples. Everything blacklights correctly on this guitar. You're going to notice it blacklights a little differently on this side. I forget what guitar it was recently that did that same thing. I know it was a special type of wood. The lacquer just kind of sinks in a little bit differently. It's not a touch-up or anything to worry about though. Everything on the front is looking as it should. Back of the headstock, you can see more clearly where Les scribbled his name on this guitar. It's kind of cool now that Les is not with us anymore. A rare guitar with his signature. At least that's not on the top if you don't like it, But no breaks, cracks, or repairs to this one. This is in very clean shape. You've got a lot of case candy with this one too. I mean, if you're a collector, this is probably one of the more complete examples out there. Now, granted, some of them might have fancier wood grain to them, but these really don't show up that often, so you can't be too picky on these. But I'm not knocking this example at all. It does have fantastic wood grain on its own, but I've seen some examples that have like long running lines that make them a little more unique looking. However, this one is definitely a more traditional look, so it could be more attractive to you. Take a look at this side where the lacquer on the binding. Guitar does come with its original case, and I am really happy to have had this example because it finally proves to me that yes, some of these Gibson cases did ship without the Gibson logo. Because open it up, that's 100% Gibson in there. So it is true. I finally found a mint condition version of these types of cases so I can prove it to myself. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4 latches on this guitar. There are none on the back. There is a locking key there. There is a little nameplate on the outside here, but overall this case is in great shape. I mean, there's going to be some light storage wear and tear on it, but the inside is a dark purple, and I love these cases. Whenever you put a natural finished Les Paul in one of these dark maroon purple cases, that's when they really pop. So this is a beautiful case. Inside here, not right now, but will be when you open it, is all the original case candy. That includes the original receipt here. It looks like they paid around $850 total that day, but the guitar was around $630. You can also see here on the, looks like the limited lifetime warranty that they said they had paid $550 plus some for the extras. Got the important please read, the case keys, the original strap for the guitar, it says Gibson on it. The original lead for this guitar, and these are always cool when you have this, the original warranty registration card for a Mr. Robert Johnson. of Maryland. Les Paul Custom. So the Brazilian Rosewood Les Paul Custom was only like $200 more. So I think a regular Les Paul Custom from this era was around $400 to $500. So it definitely was a special guitar, but definitely isn't as expensive as like the Les Paul Artisan. This gorgeous Les Paul weighs 9 pounds 15 ounces, which it's not too bad. You got right under that 10-pound mark. The cleans will be running through a Gibson Super Gold Tone GA30RV. The dirty tones come from a Marshall JMP 1C. be interested in owning this very rare Les Paul Custom with the Brazilian Rosewood top, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, Troglodytes, we'll catch you next time. Take care.